Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Clueless 8, and this is the end of the day report for August 25th, I believe, 2014. I'm going to keep tonight's report short and to the point. I'm going to give you a quick little tutorial on how I read the McClellan oscillators, okay, which we are all quite somewhat familiar with. They're overbought, oversold oscillator. There's an art of reading. There's a certain way of reading these particular charts. They are not, they need to be. When you read these charts, you have to keep in mind the background noise in the market, in the sense that what is the condition of the market at that point. Is it a very fearful market? Is it an exuberant market? Is it a market which is in complete turmoil? Or is it a market which is basically on a one-way trip up? So saying all that, let's take a look at the McClellan oscillator on the NASDAQ first. So what we see here is we got very deeply oversold, as we know, in July and August. These were very deep oversold conditions, minus 45, minus 52, minus 60, 68. And generally those type of oversold conditions do get resolved to the upside. As I've mentioned quite a few times, one of Newton's laws of motion is every action has an equal and opposite reaction. There is no difference in the markets. It's the natural law of motion, and one might not want to believe that, but you know what? It's just the way it works. When things overshoot, they revert to the mean. In other words, they come down and test the moving averages, depending on the ones we're looking at, and obviously different time frames. And when things go down too much, they tend to revert back to the mean. Is it that simple? No. But there's always a good, but generally what I've seen over the years is it's a good proxy to gauge the temperament in the market at any given time without getting too carried away with price, too carried away with what our heads are, the little voices in our heads talking about, and too carried away with what the media is saying, what Wall Street analysts are saying, what the talking heads on CNBC are saying, you name it. What grandpa is saying, what your buddy's saying, or what your fellow traders are saying, because generally speaking, we truly are all clueless. So as long as we can accept that we don't know much, then only then can we move forward, and that's just the way it is. So saying all that, what we see here, and I'm trying to read the tea leaves, is the Bollinger's just basically the Bollinger's got stretched big time, which in itself is, given the circumstances is quite similar to what happened here in May, if you notice, quite similar to what happened here in February. And the bottom line is that this particular let's say for the Nasdaq McClellan oscillator, let me get my drawing tool here, is at this juncture in the market not overbought. You don't get overbought at 30.84, okay, right here, and at 35.40 for the New York Stock Exchange McClellan oscillator. You get overbought when you get towards these levels, okay, like we did when we got to about 58, 60. You can go as high as 68 here on the Nasdaq, which obviously has much higher implied volatility on their moves. And again, we're at 30. So what I'm saying here is that we still have a little bit of room to move. That kind of jives in with some of the things that I've shown very clearly on my video casts and my charts, that we still have a couple of days before we peak. I'm still sticking to that plus minus day or two of September 8th. Okay, and for reasons that I've mentioned clearly last night, don't want to repeat myself. Again, I'm a student of the market. I can change. I have the free right and the will to change my mind in a nanosecond, given what I see in the market. My job is to present, is to dissect the undercurrents of the market, and as a messenger, pass it on to my loyal members and subscribers. And that's just the best I can do. If I'm right, that's a plus. If I'm wrong, what can I say? I get fired. So bottom line is that at this point we still have a little bit of room to move, to get overbought, and the RSI here needs to be above 70 in order to get extreme overbought, and we really haven't gotten there yet on a and this is a 1 year. This is from last December. Okay, this is a 1 year, and this is let me just see here. Let me just not sure why it's doing that. That wasn't a 1 year. 1 year, 1 month. Don't ask me why I do that, but that's just the way I do it. So putting it here on the Nasdaq, we are not fully overbought yet. Okay, we get overbought around 61 plus, 67, overbought and that type of stuff. We also have something very interesting happening. We have a 3450 crossover. You got to squint your eyes to actually see that, but it's right here. Okay, and you can see it right here. We have a 3450 crossover. And the last time the 3450 crossed over, if you can see here, one second, we had a couple of crossovers of the 3450, but as pronounced as this one would be the closest thing I can think of is this, and that was last September 2013, and the market did the market went into mid-September before it started to ease and create a minor bottom in early October and then went higher. So if that's the case that happens here, then we're going to continue through mid-September and then come down, and again, there are much better charts to figure out where the market's going to go from this point than this McClellan oscillator, but at least you can see what's going on. So here we got very deeply oversold in February. This was classic. It's minus 77, just the end of the world. Minus 68 felt the same way. Minus 53 felt somewhat the same way. And then we had this, then we had this crossover. And one second here, let me get the line out. And the S&P, I should actually have the Nasdaq thing here. One second. Instead of this, I should have the NDX, or maybe I can just have the ComQ. Okay, that's better. So so last time we kind of crossed over like this. We went up, we went up a bit more. Anyway, to make a long story short, we still have a little bit of time left on the McClellan oscillator to get seriously overbought on a 1 year basis, and that's the point I believe that we start to have our good old 4 to 6% type of pullback, if not more. Let's see what happens. So that's your quick short tutorial on this. There's a lot of different ways to read it, but this is my quick take on what's going on. The Bollingers are very important. Just want to keep in mind the last thing I'm going to say. When the Bollingers move up like this, and this one started to curl up, you get, you're going to see this thing move up back towards the 61 level. This the histograms here, and so that gets into real overbought territory. But the Bollinger shooting up like that is telling you that there's a lot of force here. This is starting to turn right now. The lower Bollinger, and again, that's so these things have to basically come and start to not merge, but they need to narrow, and so that's probably what you're going to see as the bottom end rises and the top end starts to come down. That's the first sign of a consolidation or corrective pullback. Okay, that's it for now on the McClellan oscillators.